You are listening to BizBlend listeners, where we keep it real about what it actually takes to build a life and business that works in the world we live in today. And as always, I'm your host Sana, and today we are talking about something that everyone posts about, but very few people honestly unpack. What's that? Success. What it costs, what it gives back, and how it keeps changing while you are in the middle of your life trying to hold everything together. Listeners, my guest, Keren Gonen, she grew up in Israel in a family where business was just part of the air she breathed. Moved to the US as a teenager right after the Gulf War, helped build a logistics company with her dad all over almost 2 decades, and then watched the chapter end. She lost her mom to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma at 29, went through divorce, became a single mom, pivoted into real estate at 39, and today she is a top producing agent who closed almost $24 million in sales volume in 2024. And listeners, she's ranked as the number one agent in Sussex County. On top of that, she's raising her kids, serving as SCA president at their school, running networking groups like Referral Roundtable, and leading the BW Nice Sussex chapter. Her language is light and love. Her reality is early mornings, late nights, and a lot of responsibility. Listeners, in a world that feels honestly noisy, unstable, frankly exhausting, I want to know. We all want to know, what does success actually mean when the resume looks amazing, but the human still has to wake up and live with those choices. So, Karen, thank you so much for coming on this blend, and I'm really excited to go deeper than the highlight reel with you today.
Sana, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be on the podcast to have a discussion about life in general and certainly business in life and overall how women deal with success and business in our world.
Absolutely. Honestly, when I was going through the intro, like at the back of my mind, I was reading, oh my goodness. I mean, it is so overwhelming. And, especially like personally speaking as a woman, sometimes I really feel that, how others are able to figure it all out. Maybe, on the surface level, it looks like, everything is getting managed very efficiently, neat and clean. However, back of the stage, it's like absolutely messy. So, Karen, if we strip away the LinkedIn headline and the sales numbers and all that, when you say that I feel successful today, what are you actually talking about in your own life?
For me, success is having the freedom to make decisions that are not based on my business, but on my personal life, taking my kids on vacation because I feel like it, not because this is a designated time that I need to take vacation. That's success to me. Being able to get up maybe at 5:30 to do my prayers and devotion and meditation,
Hmm.
but then staying a few hours to do whatever I want, make breakfast for my kids, hang out with my husband, do some Tai Chi possibly, or go and work. That's success to me. That's the option that I have now that I don't have to punch in at 9, work until 5, and be dancing to someone else's music. That's freedom and that's success to me.
That's really very bold, Karen. And I think it also breaks this misconception, especially around, because I still remember like this there has been this, a generational shift in terms of, especially this these two school of thoughts, that the 9 to 5 job and the entrepreneur or the founder, the hustle mode, the hustle culture, that when you um when you get to be an entrepreneur or you try to make something of your own, you get the freedom. It's glamorous and it's completely your own, you are your own master. However, I think the real picture is also that when you are building something with passion and then you have your loved ones, you also have to show up for yourself, you also have to show up for your loved ones. I think um you know there's this beauty that you get to design your own template, not like follow someone else's blueprint or template.
Right. I think that's a mistake that we often make as women, that we always think that we've done something wrong. So if we're working too hard and not seeing the kids or not nurturing the home or nurturing our significant other, we feel like we're lacking, even if we have success. There are all these terms that are related to successful women. Oh, she must be really mean. She must be cold. She's like a cold fish. There are all these things that are being said about successful women
Mm.
because we're more assertive than other women. Whereas if a man behaves the same exact way, that's okay. And I think as women, we've robbed ourselves of being content with
Mm.
being successful and being happy. We're so busy dancing at so many weddings instead of enjoying our lives. We're always thinking about what we're not doing as a result of what we are. But I think what I teach my kids is really simple. I tell them there are two ways to go about things. You can go and work for someone else and build their dream and be bending to their rules, and you will make as much money as they let you, but you will have a paycheck weekly or biweekly, however you get paid. However, if you're an entrepreneur, you wake up unemployed every single morning. So you have to make a choice of how you'd like the rest of the day to go. But if you don't sell, you don't eat. There is no security. But there's also no glass ceiling. The only person who's going to decide how much money you can make is you. And there's real power in that, but it's also very scary.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's the reality that many tend to ignore, because maybe on social media or on surface level it looks like it's very glamorous, and it's like you are, as I mentioned, like you are your own master, or yeah. And um you have had chapters close hard, Karen, like a company shutting down, losing your mom, a marriage ending. Which of these moments forced you to change your definition of success the most, and what shifted in your head right then?
Well, that's a multi-level answer.
That's a difficult question, and
When when my company closed down, it was actually my family's saving grace because my sister and I were on the out because of work. We had lost my mom, and that's on a personal level, not on a business level. But we had the freedom to do certain things, and I always said that my heartbeat is connected to the company's heartbeat. When we had to close down, it was almost like a small death to me because what I had been doing for years was building and building my relationships and my contacts and contacts overseas, not just here in the US. And I was so grateful to have contact with so many people that when it shut down and all of a sudden people that I spoke to every day, I no longer spoke to. And that was very difficult. But it also taught me that business relationships are not the same as personal relationships. So I think that contributed to my thought process of having my own business and having the freedom that I had when I worked in my own company. When my mother passed away, um, after a long struggle with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, during we were sitting Shiva after her death, and we had people come up to us, and they came from all over Israel. We were living in California at the time, so people flew in from Israel, they flew in from New Jersey, they flew in from different locations. And they came up to my sister and I and they said, "You have no idea how much your mom helped me with my abusive husband, with my loveless marriage. She helped
Mm.
me start my own business. She helped me have the courage to ask for a raise. She helped me start my own business." And I think that planted the seed in my head that this is who I wanted to be. When I pass away, what I want is for my kids to have those conversations with people that are coming to honor and show their respect to me as I'm leaving. That's what I wanted for my children. I want them to have those conversations, not because I boasted and said, "Oh, I helped this person, I helped that person," because my mother never did. We had no idea how many people she had helped in the past. And right then and there, I decided that this was it. This is who I wanted to be as well. As far as what I learned from my marriage, my first marriage ending, because I've recently just gotten remarried just a few months ago, my first marriage ending pretty much taught me that I need to know how to do everything by myself. And the point was that I had already been doing everything by myself. My then husband was not very present as
Mm.
far as supporting me or the household itself. I was supporting everyone. We were living with his two other children that were both adult in relationships. We were supporting, obviously, ourselves and our very young children. And I think I realized that if I'm doing everything by myself, I might as well be by myself.
Mm.
And at that point, I decided I would never depend on a man to do anything for me. And I haven't since. I think that also caused me to be very much of what we call a control freak. Uh, but when you meet that strong person that can stand with you, not against you, you realize that it's okay to let go of the control and to let other people help you, because I've always had issues asking people for help or letting them help me. And that's something that my husband taught me, that it was okay to let go of the control and let him be in charge of certain things.
That's so, and really, really, it's really very profound because it actually unravels so many aspects here that you, and I think it also busts many misconceptions out there that um I mean, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but these, two once again schools of thoughts that, okay, especially for a woman, okay, I need no man to help me or support me. Um, but then at the same time, I think it's not about, you know, man or woman. Like as a partner, how can I not be the crutch or like this controlling one that if you do not agree with me, then we are not on the same page, then that partnership is not at all successful. There's no point. But I think it's more like, the yin and yang. Like,
Wait.
we may not agree. However, let's come on an alignment together.
I think for those of us that have experienced letting go of the control and allowing someone else to do something for us,
Mm.
we really need to make that with the right person,
Yeah.
because when a woman gives control to someone else, she gives it with her whole heart. We often forget that we need to leave a little piece for ourselves so that we don't feel as if we are losing ourselves. But there's also a lot of strength in letting go of that control, because you now have more space on your plate
Mm.
to decide what you'd like to do, whether it is to take something else on, to go and help someone else, to invest in yourself. We're often taught that doing things for ourselves is selfish,
Mm.
and that's not the case. You cannot fill from an empty cup.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. It's a very nuanced conversation, Karen. But I personally, this is also my belief that yes, this is something I've also learned through a lot of trials and tribulations that I shouldn't completely depend or blindly trust someone that whenever I'm in some kind of mess, there's this person to pull me out of there. I should know myself that what I can do, but yes, at the same time, I should also not hesitate to seek help or guidance or support for that.
I agree. It was actually my husband that taught me that. I when I had first gotten into real estate, I was always helped in my office to do certain things, and I never let them do anything for me. And he's the one that said, "How do you expect them to let you help them if you don't let them do the same for you?" And he was right.
Mm. And very interesting. I mean, this is also something that, personally I can so much relate with. A kind of a fear which runs at the back of, so many women's mind that, because you switched careers at 39, and especially for women, this is an age where usually there's a sinking feeling of, logged in or scared to start over, um, kind of coupled with, the social conditioning, or like a cultural, stereotypical thing. For you, was that pivot into real estate more about strategy or survival?
I think for me, it was really a mix of both. Um, I got into real estate because my husband wanted to do a flip and no one was getting back to him. And then he suggested that I become an agent myself. It wasn't even something I ever thought of. I never crossed my mind to do something like that, even though I had always been in management and sales. It's just who I am as a person. But I think it was the fact that I wanted to do something of my own. And in the US, in the realtors, all the agents were independent contractors. So we choose what to do and when to do it, which is great, except if you don't sell, you don't eat. So it was survival, but it was so much more than that because I was looking for rebirth. I was looking to reinvent myself. And for me, age has always been just a number. It was never, okay, well, I'm this age now, so I can't do this. To me, it never mattered how old I was because of how I was raised. I was raised that I can do anything I put my mind to. It was never, you can do anything you want to at the age of 20 or 30 or 40. There was never any of that. It was always, you can do whatever you want. And as long as you decide to be successful, you will be.
That's really powerful, really powerful. And I actually missed that thing, when you were sharing that particular pivotal moment, when you actually got to know from people coming from Israel or New Jersey, you were talking about your mother, that, how much she actually helped in different situations, whether it's work related or it's personal life. And actually, that sparked that interest. I think it's such a beautiful moment that, sometimes we actually um, get inspiration from the most unknown places, or maybe from our parents, from our friends or loved ones. So I think that is something that also like would personally stick with me for such a long time.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we need to remember that there's a purpose no matter what we're meant to do. We don't always see it and we don't always know it until we need to, until there's no other option. And I think that's where I was at because I wasn't feeling productive. And when someone like me that has a lot of energy on a daily basis no longer feels productive, we get depressed. And I don't do depressed very well because it ruins my entire day. And I'm the type of person that will always see the silver lining no matter what I do, no matter what happens. There's always a silver lining. You just have to find it. And I think once you shift your focus, you are no longer a victim. Everyone, or I should say, a lot of people have a victim mentality of this happened to me, this person did this to me, that person did that to me. There's a lack of accountability for things that happen to us. And there's also a victim mentality instead of saying, okay, this person did this. However, this is what I learned from the experience. So it's not a failure. It's not someone did something to you. It's something happened. And the only thing we can control is our reaction. So choose how you want to react because it's already happened. We can't change what that person did, but we can control how we react to it and whether or not we want to react with strength, with positivity, or do we get depressed and go down the tubes with our productivity because that person did it to us.
Mm, absolutely. Absolutely. And before we wrap up, Karen, I think this is such a beautiful, you know, I think it's such a beautiful vision. You talk about wanting to be a source of light and love in a world that often feels dark. Um, it's a beautiful mission, but then also it's a heavy one. Um, what does that actually look like on days, when you yourself, you do not feel very light or loving yourself? How do you like regain back that strength?
I'm going to be very corny right now.
Sorry.
And I'm going to say that when something like that happens, and it does happen, especially in today's world with the state of the world and politics and religion and all this other stuff that I try to put in a little box and put it in the back of my mind and ignore it.
Mm,
I think for me, if it's summertime or if the temperature's warm enough, all I do is I'll go outside. I'll stick my hands or my feet in dirt just
mhm.
to be reminded of how small I am and how big everything else is. And I am a very spiritual person, so I believe I have a purpose that God, because that's who I believe in, God has put me here for a specific task that He wants me to complete. And everything that I go through, all my trials and tribulations, are in order to turn me to the person that's going to make His will come true. And that's what I try to focus on. I try to focus on my faith, on my spirituality, on the contributions that I can do when I am at my best, and those that I cannot when I'm at my worst.
I really love that, really, really love that.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Wish we could have go on and on, but Karen, before we wrap up, if listeners they would like to connect with you and explore more about your work and would also like to share their thoughts about this conversation with you, what would be the easiest way?
So I'm always available on my cell phone number, whether it's WhatsApp, texting. That number is 551-262-4062. I'm also available on the various social media platforms on Facebook and Instagram. My handle on Instagram is Keren Gonen Real Estate Broker. And on Facebook, my professional page is Keren Gonen Real Estate.
Wonderful. Listeners, I always do that and I'll do this time as well. So just hover over to the show notes along with this episode to connect with Karen and check out her work, connect with her on the social media platforms. And I think if you are listening and your life does not look like the success you see online, it does not mean you are behind. It might just mean you are in the middle of your next chapter. Your definition of success is allowed to change, and so are you. So, Karen, thank you so much for being real candid with us today. And I mean, this has been such an enriching conversation. Thank you.
My pleasure, Sana. Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to the next time.
Absolutely. And to all our BizBlend fam, if this conversation landed for you, share it with one person who needs a reminder that success is not a straight line. Hit follow, drop a review, and keep building a business and life that actually feels like yours. I'm Sana, and this is BizBlend. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.